Hey everybody, my name is Lenny Kercheffo. I'm originally from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I came out here about 6 years ago. I made my first trip to Southeast Asia in before the tsunami, about 2002, 2003. And make a long story short, I did a visa run to Angkor Wat like most Bahrains. And there's this little girl in Kralan, and that's the brake stop to get off the bus. It was Poipet Kralan and Siem Reap. And this little girl stole my heart, and next thing you know, I'm putting her through school, looking after her family, etc. I've got a lot of mixed emotions. Those of you who don't know me, I was in Edmonton several years ago when Sam Ramsey came in. I'm fairly well read on Cambodian's history. I've been there 5 times or so. I've been up through the North Anlong Bay, Bente Minchi, Osamach. I've been through all 3 out of the 5 border post crossings, Chinookville, etc. I'm an in-your-face. I speak my mind. I'm an abrasive type of guy. I love people, and I've been to the killing fields, and it changed my life. And for that, I'm grateful. And to the Thai people, I can speak for all afternoon with the experiences. Recently, a movie just came out called Enemy of the People, and it was debuted in Bangkok. But I saw it. I just got back in the end of May. And here, brother number 2, Noan Chia, still unrepentant after all these years. Unrepentant, full of himself, and arrogant to the bitter end. He truly believes. He's a man. He believes, and he comes by it honestly, that what he did was right. He made mistakes, but there is no sense of remorse. The man has no soul, and he's one of many. Keep in mind that the United States of America gave Cambodians only seat at the United Nations, the Inc. Seri. We can't ignore this stuff, you guys. And I beg of the elders, as painful as it is, you must share this with your kids and your grandkids. We must not forget. And that goes from all the atrocities that happened in India with the Westerners, with their own country, Canada. How many Native people have been slaughtered at the hands of the Anglo-Saxons? And let's call it for what it is. Even our own Prime Minister, ex-Prime Minister Paul Martin, has acknowledged this publicly. And he's on a mission himself to try to right some wrongs from his own ancestors. I'm a quarter Sicilian, a quarter Icelandic, a quarter Italian, an 1/8 Irish, and an 1/8 Indian. A drunk who likes to carry a weapon. Okay. You know? Yeah, God help us all, right? You know? And my family came to Canada dirt poor. Dirt poor. I live a life I'm successful. I've never had to work half as hard as my ancestors did. Could you imagine coming to Canada and having to cut down all these trees and to farm this land at -40? The hardship. Good old-fashioned hardship. And that's what the people of Cambodia remind me of, my late grandparents. And for that, I'll continue to help this girl out. But I would like to suggest, first of all, to the people doing your project, although the books were written by Western scholars, keep that in mind. They are scholars. Help me out here. Who's that former ambassador from Australia to Cambodia? David Chandler. Like him or not, you might want to consider reading. I've got a whole bunch of books I bought off the kids in Siem Reap. I bought the whole collection. Great reading. About the social liberalism. Apparently Pol Pot, for example, whacked. There's one guy there's actually brother number 8, I guess he would have been. He was actually the original brother number 1. He wanted money. He did not want to abolish money. And I know you know who I'm talking about. They killed him. And that was in the late 60s, and I'm not exactly accurate. So this whole from Ho Chi Minh, this whole uprooting of socialism, communism, started well into the 50s and into the 60s. I don't know if you kids know, did you know that Cambodia had the best medical system in all of Southeast Asia in the 1960s? Even better than Singapore's. Your country was, you can go to YouTube and check this stuff out. How advanced your society was. This in the 60s. You kids weren't even born yet. I would like to suggest to the elders that There's going to be a change in the international scene as the United States of America loses its status as the world's reserve currency. They're just too far in debt. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And our lives are going to change here in Canada too. That's another topic. But I would like to encourage you people to start approaching the powers of India and the powers that be in China and start lobbying them. Perhaps the greatest military mind of the 20th century, whether you like him or not, and I'm asking you to lay all prejudices aside, was General Bang of the North Vietnamese Army, General Giap. He kicked out the Chinese, you like him or not, just look at the track record. He kicked out the French, and he kicked out the Chinese, and he kicked out the Americans. General Giap. He was a smart man. And then after Vietnam came into your country and liberated, there was a little bit of friction there on the northern border of Vietnam. The Chinese sent in a bunch of troops. As a Westerner, I would like to suggest that you keep educating us. I thought the Vietnamese were heroes for stopping the war. I didn't know that there was 500,000 more deaths after 1979. And that what we're here to celebrate today with the peace accords, Ronald Reagan wanted all forces, all armies out of Cambodian soil. And yet the Vietnamese stayed. And I could tell you, I'm 99% sure I saw them there 3 years ago in Kampong Cham. And now, I understand Hun Sen uses them as military exercises between joint. That's his excuse for keeping them on soil. As a Canadian, I would call upon my government, I have mixed feelings about this, to stop giving money to Cambodia to starve him out. But that would be at the expense of the poor. Yeah, it seems like everybody gives a ticket into Hun Sen. Here's 50 million, here's 100 million, to let my company and my corporations come here and rape your people of its natural resources. I don't know if it's fact or fiction, but the reason for that, the conflict on the Thai border in Chongchom and Chansanam, but Anong Bang, the Playa Villa, is because apparently there's oil underneath the Dangrek Mountains. Is that rumor or not? You know, so there's hidden agendas here. We don't know yet. There's hidden agendas. And I think we have to be, you have to start thinking like a politician, you guys. I hate to say it. You got to start thinking like politicians, kids. You're getting your agenda put in through. There's hidden stuff there. I mean, doesn't it make sense? Of all these donor countries are giving Cambodia to Hun Sen and his guys, half of his cabinet's ex-Khmer Rouge.
Yeah.
They're half of ex-Khmer Rouge. The council chambers there on the beautiful city of Phnom Penh. Love your town. It's all Khmer Rouge. It's just the other. He was a cadre up in the northeast.
He is second Pol Pot.
Yeah, he's the second Pol Pot. Yeah, exactly. So I have mixed feelings about Western nations giving money to Cambodia only to let Hun Sen use those funds for other purposes. And the onus is on us as Canadians and taxpayers. They take a third. I work in the oil sands. I make good money. They take between 30 and 50% of my check. I don't. So I can give money to some tyrant? How do you think I feel? Or how do you feel as Canadians? I give you half of my dough, and you give it to some guy who uses the natural resources of his own country as his personal bank account? It's just incredible. I went to see Sam Rainsy in Phnom Penh. He looked thin, very thin. Well, 2-3 years ago, he's a thin man to begin with. And it was very, I felt, I came up the backside of the hill, by the way. I know when I have eyes on me. I mean, if I'm going to be dressed like this going into Phnom Penh, into his, just past downtown, you guys know where his headquarters are. And one of his right-hand men, and it wasn't too long after, told me that there's been some serious action, which led to he left. So I'll just leave you with this. Please keep educating us Westerners of what's going on. I wasn't totally knowledgeable about the Vietnamese influence on on Cambodia. I've been told that they're running out of land for themselves and they want to expand. But as you can see from a Westerner's eyes, they look like a hero to me because they liberated Cambodia. Well, it was just another tyrant to come in. Yeah, and I have a feeling that you're going to see more Chinese influence in Cambodia in the years to come. As the Asian, and that's another thing. What are the Asian leaders doing about this? The Prime Minister of Singapore, I forget his name, called Hun Sen one of the most ruthless tyrant men he's ever seen in his life. The Prime Minister of Singapore. You can't even spit on the street there, they'll get thrown in jail. So we've got to hold our Canadian government accountable. If you're going to send the money, then make sure. Yeah, anyways, I'll leave it with that. So I'm pretty impassioned with you guys. Thanks for changing my life, eh?